Back in 1877, bribery and corruption had become so endemic in Scotland Yard's detective department that complete reorganisation was necessary. Even then, Masonry had played a dominant role. So although there are many honest Masonic policemen, Freemasonry and police corruption have always been hand in glove. In 1969, the Times newspaper was contacted by a small-time criminal claiming to be fed up with detectives extorting money from him. Reporters tape-recorded his next encounters with detectives, one of whom explained how the criminal could buy immunity to commit crime all over London.
And the phrase that he used, that the officer used, was, "I'm a member of a little firm within a firm."
Former Inspector Brian Hilliard, now the editor of Police Review, is a non-Mason. He recalls an incident from his own career.
He saw me before court and he says, "Does this have to happen?" I said, "Depends on witnesses." He was fined, and as he came out of court, he shook his head very sadly. He said, "I don't know how we can do this to one another." Now, I know absolutely that he was a Mason and thought I was a Mason.
Many police who are not in the Brotherhood are concerned about its influence. But Masonic policemen see no conflict between the job and the craft.
You know, many Freemasons take the craft very, very seriously, like a religion. And he just stared at me and just shook his head like that, run his finger across his throat. I thought, gosh, what am I doing here? I need to get out of this place, because if one man can do that, I need to get out.
The officer who talked of the firm in a firm was Freemason John Simons. When the story was published, he was charged with soliciting a £50 bribe and suspended. Faced with what he saw as a fit-up, he sent word to the officers probing the allegations that if jailed, he would expose many other corrupt detectives. The chief investigator was a Freemason, Superintendent Bill Moody, then head of London's Obscene Publications Squad.
I wouldn't stand for the fit-up. I knew what was going on. And unless he stopped doing what he was doing, I intended to expose everything that I knew about Metropolitan Police, corruption, Freemasonry, its involvement in corruption.
Simons fled abroad. When he returned 7 years later, he received a 2-year jail term. Ironically, by then, the very man who'd been investigating him was himself doing 12 years. Bill Moody had been jailed in 1977, along with Commander Ken Drury of the Flying Squad. These two Masons had both been taking colossal bribes from pornographers. Worshipful Master Len Gibson. On one page was his mugshot. On the next, his criminal record, including convictions for handling stolen goods and shop breaking. Gibson's modus operandi, or crime speciality, was shown as armed robbery. Yet there were 8 policemen among the brethren of the Waterways Lodge at the time Gibson was master. One of them was former Flying Squad Chief Inspector John Bryan McNeill, who declined to talk to us. Perhaps these policemen saw no conflict in being in the same lodge as a convicted criminal. In 1987, Detective Alan Holmes, a Freemason who had joined the craft while serving at Croydon Police Station, faced the ultimate test of his Masonic loyalty. Holmes was not corrupt, but was under great pressure to betray a Masonic colleague. Scotland Yard's Anti-Corruption Squad, CIB2, believed he knew of crooked links between a Masonic detective commander and Freemason Kenneth Noy, convicted of receiving part of the £26 million worth of gold stolen in Britain's biggest ever robbery, the 1983 Brinksmat job. Nowhere is the pressure to stand by your mates stronger than in the police, where generations of detectives have used Freemasonry as a cover for corruption.
I'm a strong person. I'm not a liar, and I had to clear my name.
Marina Narayan was fostered as a baby in 1966 by Met Police Detective John Hudson and his wife June.
In my case, I want the police to recognise their involvement in the cover-up of, in my case, of my abuser, the cover-up of him, in terms of their position as police and in terms of their involvement with the Freemasons.
Marina is speaking out now after the Met Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley, introduced new rules forcing officers to declare if they are Freemasons. Campaigner Raymond Stevenson tells us about his 11-year investigation into Hudson and other abusers. Raymond reveals evidence linking him to a network of corrupt Freemasons in the force and a notorious police scandal.
We're going to present the evidence, but not just the evidence on Marina's case. We're going to present a pattern of evidence that will absolutely expose the Freemasons.